Imagine going to sleep one winter night in the year 1700 in a quiet coastal village along the Pacific. The air is cold. The ocean sounds normal. The ground beneath your feet feels solid, permanent, trustworthy. No one alive that night knows they are about to witness one of the most powerful natural disasters in human history. No one knows that in a matter of minutes, the world they understand will be erased, and the future of continents will quietly change forever. Without warning, the earth begins to move. Not a gentle shake, not a passing tremor, but a violent, endless roar. The ground rolls like waves. Trees snap and crash into each other. Rivers reverse direction. The land itself drops several feet in places, as if the planet is exhaling after holding its breath for centuries. People can't stand. They can't run. They can only cling to whatever they can reach and pray the earth stops tearing itself apart. This is not a local earthquake. This is a megathrust earthquake, estimated today at magnitude 8.7 to 9.2, making it one of the strongest quakes the planet has ever produced. The rupture stretches nearly 700 miles, from what we now call Northern California all the way to British Columbia. It lasts for minutes that feel like hours. Entire forests fall at once. Coastal land sinks instantly. Saltwater floods fields that had been dry just moments before. Then something even more terrifying happens. The shaking stops, and an unnatural silence takes over. The ocean begins to pull away from the shore, exposing the seafloor under the moonlight. Fish flop helplessly on wet sand. The water retreats farther than anyone has ever seen. To people living along the coast, this sight is both mesmerizing and deeply wrong. And before they can understand what it means, the ocean comes back. A wall of water rises in the darkness. Not a single wave, but a series of massive surges, moving faster than a horse can run. Villages are swallowed whole. Longhouses are ripped from their foundations. Canoes are hurled into trees. Fires go out. Families disappear. Entire communities are wiped from the map in minutes. By the time dawn arrives, the coastline has been permanently reshaped. Forests near the shore are dead, drowned by salt water. Rivers no longer follow their old paths. Landmarks used for generations are gone. Thousands of people are dead, though no one will ever know the exact number. And there is no one left to write about it. In Europe, nothing is recorded. In the American colonies, no one notices. The catastrophe happens in silence, known only to the survivors who carry it in memory instead of ink. But the disaster doesn't stop there. About 10 hours later, on the other side of the Pacific Ocean, fishermen in Japan wake up to something impossible. The sea suddenly surges inland without warning. Boats are lifted and smashed. Homes are flooded. Rice fields are destroyed. There is no earthquake, no shaking, just a tsunami arriving from nowhere. Japanese officials carefully document the event. They call it an orphan tsunami, a wave with no parent earthquake. They record the date. They record the damage. They record their confusion. Then history moves on. For centuries, no one connects the dots. Back in North America, indigenous nations pass the story down through generations. They speak of a night when the earth shook so hard it would not stop, when the ocean swallowed the land, when entire villages vanished. Some stories say the land sank. Others say thunder came from the ground itself. These stories are treated as legends, myths, symbolic tales meant to teach lessons. Western science ignores them. Then, in the late 20th century, something changes. Geologists studying the Pacific Northwest begin to notice strange clues. Ghost forests, stands of dead cedar trees, are found buried in coastal marshes, their trunks still standing upright. The trees didn't die from disease or fire. They died from saltwater flooding. When scientists examine the tree rings, they find something shocking. All the trees died at the same time, around the year 1700. Farther inland, layers of sand appear where they shouldn't exist, deposited by massive waves that could only have come from the ocean. Offshore, sediment cores show evidence of a sudden, violent rupture along the Cascadia Subduction Zone. The land had dropped instantly, allowing the sea to rush in. Then researchers look across the Pacific. Japanese records describe an orphan tsunami that struck on January 27, 1700. Suddenly, the puzzle pieces lock together. The earthquake that devastated the Pacific Northwest sent a tsunami racing across the entire Pacific Ocean at the speed of a jetliner. 10 hours later, it slammed into Japan. The world's forgotten catastrophe had left fingerprints on two continents. For the first time, modern science confirms what indigenous oral histories had preserved for centuries. The stories were not myths. They were eyewitness accounts. The catastrophe of 1700 was real, and its implications are terrifying. The Cascadia Subduction Zone is still there today, stretching beneath the Pacific Ocean, locked and silent. It is where the Juan de Fuca plate is being forced beneath the North American plate, slowly building pressure year after year. The quake of 1700 released hundreds of years of accumulated stress in one violent moment. And that stress is building again. Major cities like Seattle, Portland, and Vancouver now sit above the same fault that snapped in 1700. Millions of people live in areas that would experience extreme shaking. Ports, bridges, highways, power grids, and entire neighborhoods are built on land that could liquefy in seconds. A modern repeat of the 1700 earthquake would be catastrophic beyond historical comparison. Tsunamis would strike within minutes. Coastal towns would have little time to escape. Infrastructure could be crippled for months or even years. The economic damage alone would reach into the trillions. What makes this especially chilling is how quietly the last one happened. No warning, no countdown, no global awareness. The world didn't change because of the catastrophe of 1700. It was reset in silence. The coastline shifted. Ecosystems were destroyed and reborn. Human populations were reshaped. Trade routes altered. Generations grew up on land that no longer matched the memories of their ancestors. And yet, outside of oral tradition and distant Japanese records, the event vanished from human consciousness. It's a reminder of something deeply unsettling. History is not just what we write down. It's also what survives. The catastrophe of 1700 proves that the planet doesn't need permission to change the course of civilization. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't wait for technology or politics or preparedness. It moves on its own timeline, and when it does, the consequences echo for centuries. 300 years ago, the world was reset in a single night, and almost no one remembered it. The question is not whether it can happen again. The question is whether next time, the world will notice, or whether history will once again be written by the survivors alone.